Well, as they say on the TV shows that I like to watch, previously on insert your show. So previously in IWillStayInControl.com, we talked about getting organized, and this is the sequel. How about that? We'll stay with the Hollywood metaphors here. This is the sequel to getting organized. Excuse me. So in the previous session, we talked about before you can fix it, you've got to understand what you're fixing, and that was part 1 of 2. And as you can see here, this is now part 2 of 2. Aren't we clever? So when we last left off, Scott Q. Marcus was explaining what was going on, and we had you set up your plan of action using the 80-20 rule, and then we had you come up with one specific item that you could work on to help get past whatever that problem was, and this was the last screen we saw in the previous session, where we were using the example of planning late night eating in order to get past the problem of eating too much late at night. So this is where we left off. Now we're going to go into the next setup, which is how do we now build a chain to actually accomplish that. So in building the chain, what we have is another handout for you that, of course, looks like a chain. And you can just download that, and you can print out as many copies as you want. As always with my material, feel free to hand it to whoever you would like, but it must be done intact so that my credit is there. As a matter of fact, what I would really prefer is you tell people to come to thistimeImeanit.com and sign up, or 21 Day Habit Change and sign up, 21dayhabitchange.com, and use the word control, where they'll say 50%. How about that? Anyway, so this is the handout that you have, and you can see what I've done is I've placed inside the end of the chain, what are you looking to have happen at the end? And what I want to have is I want to have late night eating planned. Okay, because that was the step we figured out in the previous example. Then what we have to do is we have to build a step-by-step chain. So in order to have late night eating planned, I just can't just walk in at 10 o'clock and go, all right, well, what am I going to do? So in order to have my late night eating planned, what has to happen previous to that? And I have to determine what is the appropriate amount to eat. I mean, I might not eat all day and eat a whole lot late at night. That would do it. It's probably not the healthiest or wisest way to do it, but that would be a plan. I might choose to have only X number of points or calories. That would work. Whatever it is, I have to decide what is my definition of success, which has been an ongoing theme throughout this entire project. In order to determine how much I can eat late at night, what must happen before that? Well, I then need to make sure I have the stuff in my house, assuming that I'm in my house. Because I go, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and have this, but then it's not in the house. Well, then my whole plan falls apart. So you can see each item, each link in this chain is building on a previous link. In order to appropriately stock my house, I guess with the new year, my ability to speak has disappeared. In order to appropriately stock my house, well, what has to happen to facilitate that? Well, I would also have to come up with what we'll call a cutoff time, such as what is your definition of late night eating? Now I got the stuff in the house, I've determined how much I'm going to eat, I know what it is that I'm going to do, but what is my cutoff time? Is it going to be 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 5 minutes before I go to bed? I don't know. But that is the other step that we have to do. And finally, how do I start this whole process off? I determine what day I'm going to start. Now, it could be today. There's no day like today. But you could say on Monday, don't suggest that, but you could say, okay, on whatever date it is, and this is how the whole thing comes together, I'm going to determine on that date what I will, as of that date, say my cutoff time is 10 o'clock. As example, I will have my house appropriately stocked. I will determine how much I can then eat late at night, and I will have my late night eating all planned. But the very first thing we got to do is determine when we're going to start. So here's all the steps. All you got to do is put in what is appropriate to you, and you're on your way. In our next session, we will be talking about setting up a self-contract for the year. And as you can see, now that we're in the new year, all of this stuff is aimed at helping you plan out for the year. We're coming to an end of the program. I've been really enjoying doing this. I hope you have too. If you would like additional support, don't forget that 21dayhabitchange.com has a special going on right now, not only for you, but for anybody you refer. It's guaranteed to change one habit in 21 days or your money back. A lot of people who have used this particular program have been on that, and they will attest to it. So go to 21dayhabitchange.com. scottqpmarcus.com. Use the coupon code CONTROL, and it'll knock 50% off. And it's absolutely guaranteed to work or your money back. Plus, we'll get to stay in touch. You'll get more videos, you'll get audios, you'll get all sorts of stuff. With that in mind, this is Scott Q. Marcus for IWillStayInControl.com and the Chief Recovering Perfectionist of ThisTimeIMeanIt.com. Treat yourself special. We'll see you in a couple of days with how you're going to set up your own self-contract.